We all know from common sense that self-care is important. Sure, you take a nap, eat healthy, exercise, but self-care is a lot more than taking care of your body. Self-care goes beyond the physical into the mental and spiritual realm as well. Let's go over this topic today. Namaste, Sacred Masters. I'm Dr. Aiwas Yukehi, Shadow Work NLP Manifestation Coach, and I'm here to help you with your shadow work and manifesting questions, as well as give you tips on new ways you can practice your self-growth. So don't forget to subscribe for Grabovia numbers on Tuesdays, pick a card shadow work on Thursdays, and shadow work manifesting tips on Sundays so that you don't miss out anything that can improve your life and find your light in the darkness. When we think of self-care, a lot of people merely look into the physical realm. But self-care is a lot more than that. We'll go over the mental and spiritual aspects of self-care and why you should start today. On a personal level, neglecting self-care causes increase in anxiety, distractibility, anger, and fatigue. If you also experience a decrease in your sleep, relationship satisfaction, which includes spouses and children, self-esteem, empathy, and compassion, you're not practicing enough self-care. Lack of self-care usually happens when we place others over ourselves. Now, I know this may sound selfish in that we put ourselves above our families and loved ones, but hear me out for a second. A lot of people think self-care is selfish is because we are ingrained by society for us to think that way. But if we honestly sit down to think about it, what is selfish? Selfish is when one has a desire to take from others. Self-care isn't selfish because it isn't done with an intention to harm others. In fact, lack of self-care encourages the acts of selfishness in other people. You cultivate a me, me, me mentality in them because they got so used to you taking care of them. But since our human bodies have finite energy and resources, there are several large consequences that will arise if you don't practice self-care. I'll get into those in a minute. But what I want to stress is that by taking care of yourself, you'll have energy to help others. It is normal for people to feel abandoned or left out when you don't do everything they want. But that's their healing, not yours. Know that you'll be there for them, but you have to be there for you as well. Remember, selfishness excludes others, whereas self-care does not. But the consequences if you don't practice self-care will eventually burn you out and affect your relationships, even if you did everything everybody wanted. Once you know these consequences, I'll show you ways in which you can practice healthy self-care, not only for yourself, but to benefit everybody else. The first consequence that comes from if you don't practice self-care is compassion fatigue. This is the emotional exhaustion that happens when we discover the suffering of others. Now, obviously, if somebody's hurting by the side of the road, compassion to help someone is perfectly fine and amazing. But suffering can come in little ways at first. For example, a boss might be struggling in his business and wants you to help him. It might seem harmless at first, but you look good in the boss's eyes. But as it begins to build up more and more, and when your boss is so used to asking you for extra work without giving you the rest you need, you begin to feel overwhelmed, hopeless, and oftentimes helpless. We begin to have difficulty managing emotions, our cognitive ability decreases, and our sleep becomes abnormal. Even worse, we begin to feel less connected and even become desensitized. The second consequence from lack of self-care is secondary trauma. It is no new news that we absorb energies of others that we are with. And as we can absorb positive energy, we can also absorb negative energy. Has someone in your family been dealing with a lot of stress and just by being with them for a few minutes you begin to absorb their stress too? This is known as secondary trauma, or another term is called vicarious trauma. Researchers from the University of Bradford found that even viewing disturbing news via social media can have a stressful impact. Yes, this is why first responders, medical and mental health clinicians, clergy, and journalists do experience flashbacks and nightmares. Thus, we know we must practice self-care before we begin helping others heal from their trauma as well. The last consequence is You can guess it, burnout. We get burnout not just from people, but from things and activities such as our jobs as well. The World Health Organization highlights that burnout is a chronic stress rather than a state of exhaustion. We begin to have difficulty coping, and our idealism, energy, and pleasure diminishes as a result. Even though we hear the word burnout typically in work environment, be careful that burnout can happen even in your own home environment, affecting those you love and love you. This is why self-care is so important. Without a healthy relationship with yourself, these consequences can eventually build up little by little over time and take over your life before you even know it. Now obviously, there are many examples of self-care which ranges from the physical like cleaning, cooking, exercise, or getting a massage. Those are physical things you can do to make yourself feel better and cleaner. But we're going to cover the spiritual aspects of it, as there are tons of YouTube videos on physical and emotional healthcare. As you know, shadow work is a psychological practice, but in this channel, I talk a lot about blending it in with your spiritual side as well. So, emotional self-care, which is all over the internet, is a good foundation to start. But when we talk about spiritual self-care, what does it mean? It means self-care solely based on you and your connection to your higher self. Spiritual self-care has benefits in that it fuels both your body and soul. By practicing spiritual self-care, you can expect these benefits. 1. A renewed sense of purpose and belonging. 2. An increased connection with your intuition. 3. An improved sense of peace and calm. 4. A greater feeling of groundedness. And 5. A deeper connection with others. The simplest way to start self-care is through mindfulness meditation. I don't need to get into how meditation can be healthy since most of you who come on here are not beginners in light working or spiritual techniques. If you find you have trouble meditating, it could be because there's still some shadow work to do. You may be feeling anxious or even angry. You can use my shadow work meditation videos. I'll post a playlist on this link above and description box below. Take a look at the series and see if you need anything to be cleared out. If there is a specific shadow work meditation that you want, go ahead and comment below as I release new ones every month. Ways you can help with your meditation is using some essential oils or Palo Santo. But it's important that this meditation is solely just for you. So find a nice quiet corner and time in your home to practice it. Remember, make sure you cleanse your space both through smudging as well as generally cleaning up. Getting rid of clutter is important as your environment is a reflection of you and your mind. Our reality is just a projection of what our energies are. So really begin to start cleaning and decluttering before you start your meditation. You'll find yourself more free and your senses will begin to open up. For more solo spiritual healthcare, try going out and reconnecting with nature. Taking a walk away from civilization can really help you disconnect from your day and tune into yourself. Nature itself is healing because we experience the moment through our sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Within nature holds the secret to something greater than ourselves. It is where the universe shows us how great and abundant it is. So by connecting with it, you are connecting with the abundance of the universe. Now, I know how hard it can be for some of you living in a city to connect with nature. Try finding parks, a community garden, or in many major cities, there's a botanical garden nearby. A lot of cities also have restaurants with an open rooftop and backyard garden, so try looking for those. If you're the sort that just wants to stay at home, consider building your own herb garden, or you can just buy low-maintenance plants and decorate your house with more green. This all helps you connect with nature. If you're feeling more social, also consider finding a spiritual community. These can range from joining a yoga group, a healing circle. Even churches and synagogues are great places to meet with people whom you can have a complementary energies with. I talked about absorbing energies before. These are great places that you can practice some spiritual self-care through the support of others. These are just some ideas for practicing self-care. Obviously, you can get as creative as you want. For myself, I have a custom-built shower head that I made so I can shower with crystals that I can choose to put inside the head. as the water runs through these crystals over my body. What are some self-care techniques that you use? It could be physical, mental, or spiritual. I would like you to comment on ways you do it. This is useful for others who may want to get some ideas. And since I can't put it all in one video, commenting below will help me out a lot in giving others some ideas. If you read an idea you like, please remember to give thanks and blessings to others as well, as we are all here to help each other out. Self-care is necessary, but also remember that the best self-care is one where you can practice it with a clear mind. If you have some blockages or emotions you need to release using shadow work, please check out some of my meditation videos to help you out on this journey. This is the playlist, so you can pick and choose what you need in order to take steps into loving yourself. I'll see you in those videos. Namaste.